All right, Saagar, what are you looking at?
Well, many months ago, before vaccines were widely available and polls showed how much of the U.S. population was vaccine hesitant, I warned on Rising. One of the primary drivers of anti-vax sentiment were the public health authorities themselves, who in February and March were constantly vacillating on whether pandemic restrictions could be lifted if you got vaccinated. Till I was blue in the face, I said the primary incentive for getting vaccinated is quote unquote going back to normal. If you still have to wear a mask and stay locked down, what was the point of getting vaccinated in the first place? The hall monitor instinct of many of these authorities waned slightly as people got vaccinated and just said, screw it, this thing is over. People started living their lives, going on vacation, going to bars, and more. But now, with the rising number of Delta variant cases, it seems like the whole world has lost their damn mind again. Media hysteria crashed the stock market for a day. White House says Facebook is killing people. Fox News is apparently also killing people, even though Black Americans are the least likely of a population to get vaccinated. Los Angeles County is bringing back indoor mask mandates, even though that's against CDC guidance. The mass panic set by the media is slow rolling us back to more pandemic restrictions at a time when they could not be worse for an actual public health outcome. Take a look at this from the New York Times. The top story yesterday on their website was, quote, as cases rise amongst unvaccinated, U.S. cities wrestle with mask mandates. Within the story, it acknowledges that vaccines protect you from the worst outcomes of COVID and that those who are unvaccinated are the primary ones at risk of death. And yet, again and again, we see the media fight to reimpose mask mandates and pandemic restrictions, effectively lobbying the CDC to reverse their guidance on masks. Worst of all, they have now one of the most cynical actors on their side in this crisis, Dr. Anthony Fauci, who had this to say about bringing back mask mandates.
Health officials in places like Los Angeles County, which is, one of the first that came out and said, regardless of what broader recommendations are, we feel the better part of valor is that we have so much infection going on with this Delta variant that it's prudent even for those people who have been vaccinated to wear masks. And I think we're seeing and will see more and more of that because we certainly are seeing a surge in cases with the Delta variant, which is now dominating in this country, 83%, and in some places in the country, it's as high as 90%.
It may sound reasonable, but it is not at all. Effectively, what Fauci is saying is this. It's understandable for local authorities who are seeing high levels of community spread in low vaccinated areas to bring back mask mandates. This actually makes zero sense because it reinforces the canard that many unvaccinated point to, that they truly do not believe pandemic restrictions will ever be lifted, whether they get vaccinated or not. Reimposing mask mandates and, God forbid, any sort of lockdown situation in the winter will send the message that vaccination didn't really change anything and will only harden those who may be on the fence about getting vaccinated in the first place. The message to get vaxxed to those on the fence is really simple. If you get this, you will not die from COVID, and there will be no pandemic restrictions. But even worse, this sends a terrible message to those who are on the fence about getting the vaccine in the first place. Millions of people lined up to get their shot with the promise that you get the shot and this is over. Asking vaccinated Americans to wear masks now and even to lock down in the future is asking them to have more regard for the health of the unvaccinated than they have for themselves. At this point, the vaccine is free and widely available. If you want it, you can get it. And if you don't, that's okay. You made your choice. All of us will live with that. Bringing back punitive measures to punish everyone is both unfair and counterproductive. Something that has driven me crazy about this entire discussion is watching the elites of this country try to start a blame game instead of actually trying to fix the problem. Shant Misrobian, he put this particularly well, quote, all of the people trying frantically to figure out how to get people to take the vaccine are literally the same people who built their entire careers by alienating half of the country from every major societal institution. That's it. Exactly. Take a very close look at the Americans who aren't yet vaccinated. The most authoritative profile that I've seen so far is from the Kaiser Family Foundation. Now, take a look at this poll. Kaiser distinguishes the unvaccinated into two categories. Those who are a definitely not, those who are in a wait and see group. Of the wait and see group, aka the still persuadable, they are more likely to be Black, Hispanic, split politically, most likely to have a high school degree, and nearly 43% of them are likely to make less than $40,000 a year. In other words, these are working class people. The people who were hit hardest by pandemic restrictions, the people who lost their jobs, the people who had the worst time with the American healthcare system, who are not ruling out vaccination, simply saying they want to wait and see how things work out. Instead of bringing back mandates and lockdowns, which will only hurt them again, the key is to have voices who they trust telling them about getting vaccinated. Even just a nationwide PSA of a bunch of people who are on the fence explaining why they were, and then talking about how they got the shot and now they feel great. But doing such work would be acknowledging a central truth. Those who are not getting vaccinated hate the people in charge of getting people vaccinated. Those people, because they are vain, would rather bring back policy that punishes everyone and keeps their control rather than actually reaching out to the groups on the fence and acknowledging their own failings. Look, I hope I am dead wrong about all of these warnings, but something is in the air and we should stand up against it if we actually want to help public health in this country. And Crystal, actually, a friend of mine.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it, you get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.